What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy.
In the game.
I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my very deep-voiced and manly co-hosts, John, Luke, and Josh. What's up, guys?
What up?
How's it going? Yeah,
It's me.
Feeling good, Simon. Let's go.
Yeah.
You guys sound like you were just lifting weights and drinking beer is what you sound
Yeah,
like.
drinking protein
And
shakes.
smoking, like, chain smoking cigarettes or something like that.
Chain smoking cigars is
Cigarettes.
what you were doing.
Yeah.
Guys, also joining us today, we've got a great friend of the coach joining us. Our friend Erik is here with us today, aka your FF coach, joining us live from the Ravens draft room. For those of you that do not know Erik, he's a writer, ranker, and host over at the Fantasy Football Players Club, and we're hyped to have you back on with us today, my man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Love being on the show.
Anytime.
We love having you on. We love
Erik.
having you on, Erik.
We were just talking right before JL and I, like, man, Erik's one of those guys. He shows up and he just plugs right in, and it's like instant
does.
good vibes
I
immediately.
wasn't saying that, though.
Yeah,
Josh
Josh was
wasn't there.
Just JL and Simon.
Josh was uncharacteristically silent during that period.
Mixed responses on that one. I get it.
We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Mr. Scampers at
Scampers!
11:51 p.m. So I think that was yesterday night. Said this is too
Yesterday
far away.
night.
You've been waiting
I
for
can't wait.
long. In cat time, that's like 6 months, I think, from 11:51
I don't even
to 3
see
p.m.
that
the
comment,
next
Simon.
day.
Have you had this page open forever?
I'm wondering how he's
I
getting
actually
to it, too,
have had StreamYard open since last night.
It's the only
Not
reason you
this,
see it.
not this stream, but I've had this window open since last night, and I've had
Must
this
be.
stream open since this morning.
Pretty awesome.
We've got Craig in here saying Mr. Scamper's coming in first into the chat today. Someone's got that stray cat strut going on.
Mhm.
Cat strut?
Stray
That
cat
might be
strut.
offensive, Craig. I'm not sure if Mr. Scampers is going to like you calling him a stray cat. We'll see. He's
Don't
a
talk about cats
free
like
cat.
that. Yeah.
Dustin, what's up? Welcome and glad to have you here. And peeps,
Dustin.
let's get to mocking.
Oh, we're mocking.
JL,
We're
your
mocking
breath
today.
smells and your feet aren't sexually attractive to me. How's that for mocking you?
That's quite the mock.
Gotcha. Boom.
I
Roasted.
Hey, we'll clip that because for a solid like 3 seconds, I honestly was
It's
at
like,
a loss
why,
for words.
Simon?
I
Why?
didn't know. I didn't know how to
Yeah, where
answer.
did that come from?
I didn't know. Never had to justify why my feet aren't sexually attracted to you.
Yeah.
I have to think about that one, I guess.
Yep, it's a mock. You can't even have a comeback. That's a pretty good
No,
mock
that's
right
pretty
there.
good. Yeah, you wrecked me. I'm
See if you can get me
devastated
back.
right now.
Albert says, good afternoon, everyone. What's up, Albert? Welcome in. And
Albert. How
FF
you
Salute
doing?
Albert.
Batman. We got Zach in here. He's ready to crush from the
We're gonna crush that
102. Let's see it. We'll see. I'm ready to crush from the I'm not drafting. Mr. Scamper saying hi. Back in here now. And we got Jay in the chat saying howdy. Dame says hi,
You
peeps.
that.
What's up,
Dame,
Dame?
what up?
Welcome in.
Damn.
And Twin said yo. And
Hey,
said,
yo.
you know what I'm doing this draft, don't
Oh,
you,
God.
Josh?
I saw that comment. I see where Twin is. Twin's right next to me, right in front of me at the 105. So I guess I
your
can
house?
assume I may be getting sniped quite a bit today. And then I got my brother on the other side of me. This is gonna be hell.
Oh man, what a sandwich! You got a
Yeah.
man. That's double fuster sandwich. That's
This is
that's
draft
wild.
hell. Draft
Yeah.
hell right here. I know Swamp's here. He's gonna want to steal all these people. I'm gonna be tilted today. I can tell.
This is
I'm-
definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And JL,
Oh.
speaking of sniping, purposely selected the spot right next to Erik. I think
I
purposely
did.
just to snipe him. Erik was in there
I just
first.
wanted to hang out with Erik. You know, I didn't want to be on
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
what it
other
is.
side of the draft board where I couldn't even hear him. I had to talk over everybody to get to him. You know.
Gotcha. I hear you.
Guys, we got some more people in the chat. Jay said, if you don't know Erik, what are you doing with your life? That is 100% sure. And Tim said,
Talk about
heck
it.
yeah, Erik.
Talk about it.
We got a cheering section. And Jay said, he's the GOAT. Absolutely. And Jordan, it's just
Jason.
Snipe City whenever we do mocks. Jordan said, I chose my spot to be as close to JL as possible. Everyone's team is just going to
Really
be full of
that?
players that other people like. Like, you're just going to draft somebody else's team for
If
them.
this isn't our brand, I don't know what is.
And Mr.
Like,
Skimmer
this
says,
is
I'm
just
going to do
perfectly us.
a push-up and smoke a brisket. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
Hell yeah,
brisket.
Mr. Scampers. JL, I almost bought you a shirt this weekend because it was a shirt that you would have hated, and rightfully so. Like, it was the worst shirt. It was a shirt that said world's worst vegetarian and had a giant steak on it. Like,
Oh
it was
my
just
God.
the epitome of the shitty vegetarian
Classic.
jokes on a shirt. And I was so close to getting one for you and sending
You
it
should
to
have.
you.
You should have.
Scott Fish is present. You're a little tardy, but we'll forgive it. About 5 minutes.
He was watching the ads, obviously. He cares.
Watching the ads,
He
yeah.
cares. He cares.
If you can tell us what the ad was about, a little short essay, 250 words max about the advertisement. We won't give you attention.
250 words.
Hey, I hope your ankle's better, Scott. I know it's not. He re-injured it yesterday, so it looks like he's going to be foot injured.
He just wants the sympathy at the end.
You're 100% right, Josh. It's all about the sympathy.
He just wants people worrying about him. I hope he can get around. He can just sit somewhere and not have to move everywhere. People are going to come to him. You know, no one expects anything else. I get it, Scott.
Yeah, he gets all that attention, but it's not enough.
Yeah, but sometimes even with all that attention, you still get abandoned on the elevator with your key on the floor. Scott also said we need to get Simon. We need to get Simon on a stage for a diss battle after hearing that. You know what? It's all about just selling it. I may not have the best disses, but I'm going to go hard and I'm going to sell it like it was the best diss every single time. Mrs. Gibbs is Simon with the hot mock, and Alex. That is 100% accurate. He said Simon definitely grew up watching Yo Mama.
Oh, Yo Mama was fantastic.
So much Yo Mama. Just
Yo
an
Mama
absurd amount of Yo Mama. Why don't they make TV like that anymore? Like it was a little bit like it was rough around the edges. Know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a cleanly produced show. I forgot he was the host.
He was the host.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Jordan also said, Jail, you don't have to worry about him sniping you too much though, because you don't like good players.
I don't like good players. Yeah, all of the players that I like are not very good at plating dishes.
They're excellent chefs. Excellent chefs. They just can't quite get the presentation. It just never looks right out there on the plate. Guys, before we get started with our mock draft today, a couple reminders. Number one, if you're not already following our guest, Erik, fix it right now. It's not a request. Just go do it. He's on Twitter at your FF coach, right there below his handsome face in the Ravens draft room. Make sure you go over there and follow him. After you do that, guys, if you're watching this video, that means you're most likely already on our YouTube channel. Hit that like button on this video to show your support in what we're doing over here, and make sure you're subscribed to our channel at Front Yard Fantasy, not to miss out on any of our live streams. We're here every day at 3 p.m. Eastern time, or any of the awesome VOD content coming out, helping you get ready for this upcoming fantasy season, and then helping you stay ready throughout the entire year. And also, guys, if you're sitting here wishing like, man, I wish I was mock drafting with these guys today. I wish I could get in on this draft. It's a pretty easy way to do it. Join our Discord. I believe there's a link in the video description. That is where we post our mock draft link every single Monday, and it's first come, first serve in that Discord channel. So if you want to be a part of these, make sure you're joined over there. But without further ado, not sure what that really means. I just know how to say ado. Is it ado, A-D-O, or is it ado, A-D-E-U, like the French word?
Oh, I think I'm not going to say. I know, but I'm not going to say.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, you don't want to let me know. That would just be embarrassing for if I didn't know that. Yeah. And everyone else obviously knows. But let's go ahead and get this draft started. This is going to be a half PPR draft that we are doing today. 1 quarterback redraft. The roster construction is going to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and then 2 flex positions. The draft is underway, and Jail, can you mute your sounds?
Get right to it.
Or do I have sounds on?
That's your sounds.
That's my sounds. Jail, can you mute my sounds?
I can't.
Get on it, Jail. Get on
All
it.
right, hold on. I can book a flight.
Get into it.
Josh, you are picking from the 6th spot, JL from the 11th spot, and then Erik from the 12th spot.
Yes,
Erik, you picked that 12th spot. You had first pick. Did you pick that spot on purpose, or just some practice from the end of the draft?
I mean, I usually like drafting towards the end, but I was thinking y'all might randomize it. So I said, let me just go to the end just in case. And that way, whatever team I come out with, if anyone wants to build something like it, they know they don't have to start anywhere higher up.
Absolutely. I like drafting from the ends as well. This year, if I'm not in those first 6 picks, I want to be at 11 or 12. Yeah. Like if I'm not in –
yeah, maybe if Jail wasn't right in front of me, I'd feel a little bit happier about it.
Yes, that's what I want, Erik. I want to make you feel uncomfortable. That's
also, we see Scott in here saying, holy crap, that wasn't the plan, Josh, but it's a good plan.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, that made me laugh. That made me laugh. I know it's a good plan, Scott.
You don't have to tell me.
Calvin, you got to keep some of your plasma, man. You got to hold on to some of it.
How much plasma do you have?
Yeah, this dude is a plasma making machine, I think. Every
We're
day
gonna
he's
have
in
to
here
start donating to
plasma.
you.
Yeah. But that's awesome, Calvin, that you're off donating plasma again. I love that he comes in and watches every time he's doing that. And Dustin said, it's a do, not a do. Thank you.
Cordon bleu.
Cordon bleu. Chosen Rosen, you're saying, wow, CMC first pick. I know we talked about this before, but Erik, we'll come to you. What do you think about CMC as that first pick over Jonathan Taylor?
I mean, you can't be mad at it. You don't want to let, a couple injury-riddled seasons, especially for somebody who can easily finish as the RB1. I mean, it's one of those decisions that, if it doesn't end up well, you're not too mad at yourself because at the end of the day, it's Christian McCaffrey.
Broke out.
I saw a tweet from Lawrence Jackson yesterday. Lord don't lose that. I feel like put it together perfectly. He said, people are asking me why I'm not talking about Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and CMC, and it's because I don't need to. They're great football players. They've just been injured. Like, they're great, and they're going to be great. Just they've had injuries the past couple of years.
Ooh,
we're not predicting that.
I was hoping JL didn't take him because that's easily going to be my first pick.
So I was sitting there going, is Erik going to take him or not? I really didn't I don't like who's available right now. This is not fantastic. I'm trying to figure out why. I was hoping Harris would follow me, but Brocal had to take him. Selfish little butt.
Let's see.
All right, how much time I got left? See, now I'm making executive decisions here. So the thing is, when you start drafting like later in the season, you kind of don't want to take some of the same players you have already. You want to diversify that portfolio a bit. So I'm going to just double down and go with the no-brainer here at the top of the list. Just lock it in.
Saquon Barkley and Nick Chubb.
Double
running back
to start. That's a unique build. I feel like I don't normally see that start.
Is Nick Chubb pushed up for you in this form because it's half PPR instead of full PPR, Erik? Like, are you more willing to take
probably.
him earlier?
And I don't have a lot of shares of Chubb. And I think, especially with Watson coming in a little bit later in the season as of today's date, I think, the Browns can make a good push later. And he can be, in those later weeks, those when you need your running backs to really come through. And, people talk about Hunt a lot. I don't like talking over the board while players are still out. But, I think having that keeps some of the workload off Chubb. So later on that season, we hit playoff time. I still want an RB1, potential RB1-esque talent available.
Yep. No, I'm with you on that. And we've seen it before. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, like they can coexist in that backfield. I'm like, my biggest concern is that Browns offense just as a whole. If Jacoby Brissett is behind center, but I'm not worried about the volume for Nick Chubb.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's see. JL, you went DeAndre Swift followed by Stephon Diggs. Classic JL balanced start. You love going two different players, and I love those two picks. Swift, I feel like, has been creeping up for you. You've been willing more like to take him higher and higher compared to early in the offseason. How are you feeling about DeAndre Swift? You took him as the 8th running back off the board?
Yeah, I feel a little more strongly about him in PPR formats. This is half PPR, so a little less strongly. But there was a clear drop-off here for me. Is Najee Harris, and I would much rather have Najee over DeAndre Swift in this format. But I'm going to take DeAndre Swift over Barkley, over Chubb, over Aaron Jones, and over Kamara at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Swift has been moving up for me. Aaron Jones, I've got one spot behind him, so it would be a tricky choice. Aaron Jones, there's the benefit of being in a likely much better offense, but he's likely splitting carries more with AJ Dillon. So that's a tough choice. I do think I lean Swift though. Josh, out of those names JL said, so Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley, who are you taking first?
So for
Alvin Kamara.
For me, it actually would be DeAndre Swift when it comes down to it. Out of those names that he just mentioned, I actually in a half-point PPR format, I would go. I actually have Aaron Jones ranked slightly higher above DeAndre Swift in a full-point PPR format, where I think both Aaron Jones and DeAndre Swift are going to get a lot of catches over the course of the season. I think exactly what JL said. In any kind of PPR, those guys kind of set themselves apart a little bit.
Jay Wall.
Hey, Jay Wall.
Yeah. Jay Wall's hype for Erik in the chat. And Mr. Scamper said, poop on you, JL. Poop on you. I'm guessing you took one of the players they wanted. Josh, I love it when this happens. So you and JL started similarly, like same positions, and it makes it fun to compare teams directly. Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb. Derrick Henry is the 4th running back off the board. Are you happy with this start? Does it lead you any direction after this? Or
I'm very happy with the start. It's not going to lead me in any direction. That's why I'm so happy with it. When my next pick comes around, I'm going to feel very comfortable taking a running back or a wide receiver. I'm not going to feel comfortable taking a quarterback this early. But with Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce are off the board, so I'm not considering a tight end in the 3rd round. But at the same time, I feel like I got a lot of options, a lot of different directions I can go. If a running back falls to me, I'll take him there. There's still a lot of guys I really like in this spot. But I like both Derrick Henry and CeeDee Lamb a lot.
Yeah. And now we're seeing some
CeeDee Lamb.
Excuse me?
What?
I said you can't be mad at Derrick Henry and CeeDee Lamb. I think if I had to go back, I'd probably take Devontae Adams over Nick Chubb.
I think that's fair.
Devontae Adams over Nick Chubb, yeah.
Yeah, and Josh, we have a similar start here, running back, wide receiver,
Mm-hmm.
and just looking at this, especially in half PPR, I'd much rather have Derrick Henry, and Stephon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb really aren't that far apart for me as Derrick Henry and DeAndre Swift in this format. So I would rather have your start.
I almost said something very similar to what you said. Actually, I would slightly rather have my start because while I would definitely rather have Diggs and CeeDee Lamb. Like you just said, they're very close, but Derrick Henry separates himself from DeAndre Swift.
He really does, yeah.
A little bit. If he stays healthy, there's still some concerns with Derrick Henry, but if Derrick Henry stays healthy the entire season, we know what Derrick Henry's going to do. He's going to get so many carries and he's going to be the man.
Swift has to stay healthy too.
That's very true. And Derrick Henry's proved a lot more, but Swift's going to catch a lot more passes.
Very true.
Jail, something you said at the beginning and then what you just said about you and Josh's team, I think it highlights when you are selecting a player at the end of a tier, it doesn't feel as good. Like, you know what I mean?
Really
you took DeAndre Swift because it was the last player in a tier and you didn't want to miss out on that tier. But now you're looking at it. Now you've got a wide receiver that maybe you put in the same tier as CeeDee Lamb. So you've got two wide receivers in the same tier, but you've got the lower tiered running back because you went at that position because you didn't want to miss out on that tier. Do you, looking back, do you think there's any reason you would maybe go a different position to try not to attack the bottom of a tier? Or do you still not missing out on that tier of running back?
Yeah, I kind of went through this entire thought process as I was trying to make the pick, because when I looked at the other positions, that was my initial thought was all right, well, if I don't love Swift here, maybe I'll go to another position. But the wide receivers, there's so many wide receivers who are kind of bunched together at that point, and I was going to pick again in 2 picks or 3 picks. So I didn't feel good taking wide receiver. Tight end, it felt a little early really to go for tight end here, and I'm not going QB in a 1 QB in the second round. So there I'm left with essentially going running back at the end of this tier, or just getting, maybe going double wide receiver. Which is totally maybe a strategy I could have taken. DeAndre Swift wasn't that far off that I thought it mattered too much.
Let's say Jamar Chase fell to you and you were deciding between Jamar Chase and DeAndre Swift. Would you have grabbed Chase there, you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe if you would have had one of those truly top tier wide receivers, you could have.
And you could have ended up maybe with Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs there, which is
and I would have loved
wide receiver.
I would have loved that start.
That's pretty hot. That's pretty hot.
That is pretty hot.
I just thought it was a fun exercise in thinking through is it worth taking a player at the end of the tier, or do you start the next tier? And I think it's conditional. It changes based on the situation, but you face that decision early in this draft, and we're already seeing how it's affecting your teams. We got Scott Fish in here saying, not only have I never been scheduled to be on this show, they also change the subject every time I ask about joining the Discord. And then they never get me Scott, just message us after and we'll get you that link to the Discord.
Totally get it this time, buddy.
I'm so sorry. Just things keep coming up. Know what I mean? My dryer buzzed last time you messaged me.
Trading.
Josh keeps trading. Yeah, it just
I can't help myself.
You can't.
I'm addicted to this.
He trades everything. He trades links.
A lot of wide receivers come off the board. I took James Conner there, just being okay, wide receiver, really good wide receiver is going to come back to me, and now I'm just seeing him slowly creep off, and it's making me nervous.
James Conner in the 3rd round. Josh, I'm curious, where do you have? So I know you've run through all of your projections now. Yeah. And the range of outcomes, I feel like people are pretty far apart on James Conner. Some people are really out on him this year, and then some still have him as an RB1. Where do you have him finishing this year?
So for me,
how do the new additions to that backfield affected, I guess, as well?
It's really the subtraction from the backfield that makes me a little bit more confident in James Conner. They lost Chase Edmonds, so he was been the pass catching back for the team for the last few years. And I think James Conner proved when Edmonds was out that he's actually a pretty good pass catching back himself. I remember quite a few. He was efficient with the targets he got. He didn't get a ton of targets, but he was very efficient with those targets. And I remember a couple one-handed grabs, crazy grabs. I was like, James Conner, that's James Conner out there? Is he a wide receiver? No, he's a running back. He's just a pretty good pass catcher at the running back position. I know this here Darrell Williams, who had some of the most receiving yards in the league last year with the Chiefs, but I think that James Conner could easily get a lot more targets this upcoming season. The whole crux of this is health. James Conner, he's missed at least a couple games every season he's been in the league. So if James Conner's healthy and he's playing for this high-powered Cardinals offense and Kyler Murray's there, James Conner's going to be a top 12 running back in my opinion.
Yeah, if he stays healthy, Josh, I'm with you. He's going to be their goal line back again. He's fairly safe to be a high touchdown guy in that offense. It feels
18 touchdowns last season's a lot.
I'm not expecting that, but he can probably get 10 touchdowns relatively easy if he's healthy for the entire season in an offense that high powered. Absolutely. We see come here now and you're saying Mike Williams, 3rd round. And at first I thought that's kind of crazy, but then I counted. He was the 16th wide receiver off the board. and I don't think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's
no, I don't think so either.
I think I have him as my wide receiver 17 on this year, if I'm not mistaken. I can find it, but that's right around the range he should be going in. I think the receivers going around him, the DK Metcalf,
wide receiver
the Portland
16.
Suns. Okay, so Josh, that's right around at value.
He also took 2 running backs, so he kind of needed a receiver.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want Mike there just because, he's infamous for his disappearing acts. But, we'll see how it goes.
In terms of upside, he's got
that was my only other
any
decision.
other receiver.
If I didn't take Waddle, I would have took Kyle Pitts there. Because you guys are just talking about breaking that next tier. I was like, especially if this was a 10-team league, I probably would with Pitts because you want to maximize the value of each starting spot. But it's like there's a lot of good tight end targets late that I'm looking at.
Yeah. Chosen Rosen here has a question for us. Says, how do you guys feel about Zeke Elliott, James Conner, and Breece Hall? So let's just rank those 3 guys in order. Like those 3, how would you draft them? Josh, we'll start with you. How would you draft those 3 running backs?
Well, first of all, Breece Hall, I think out of these 3 is going to get the most catches by the end of the season. I think he's kind of proved that he's a great pass catching running back in college. I know we haven't seen in the NFL, but that's why I would rank him 3rd out of those 3 personally. The upside is absolutely there, and Breece Hall is going to have every opportunity to succeed with the Jets. I truly believe that. It's the Jets. And then we look at Zeke and James Conner, they're both on great offenses. We know it's great offenses. The New York Jets, not so great. The catches are going to be there for Breece, like I said, but I'd rather have both James Conner and Zeke Elliott. And I actually have James Conner at 12 and Zeke at 13. So I think the upside there for James Conner. Zeke's safer, though. Zeke's the safest option out of all these 3 guys. So what you're looking for your team. If it was my running back 1, if I was choosing my running back 1, I might go Zeke simply for the safety of him a little bit. But since this is my running back 2, I was drafting there. Well, I didn't have Zeke as an option anyway, but I took James Conner.
I've got Zeke at 11. He's my highest ranked out of these guys. And then I have James Conner at 14 and Breece Hall at 19. So back end RB1s or RB2s for all of these guys. They're in a similar range, all of them, but it would go the order you put them in there for me. Elliott, Conner, Hall. And that's the order I draft them in as well. Eric, what about you?
See, I agree. I think Zeke is the safest choice. But I've had Conner on, my dynasty squad since, his just rookie year, I guess when he first played. I've gotten a lot of value at him over the years, but just as of late, he tends to kind of break down as the season goes on. Like, he's got a lot of miles on him. And, towards those playoff times, say what you want about the Jets, but Michael Carter was putting up big points, on a bad offense, on a bad team. So I think, even with Breece being a rookie, I think a lot of good empty stats, still count the same in fantasy. And I tend to trend towards the younger players, especially if they're running back, just because I know they can, usually more times than not go the full season. I'm still going Zeke 1, but I might go Breece over James Conner only because I know what I'm getting out of James. And if I really want some upside, I'm interested to see what I'll get out of Breece.
That's fair. JL,
if someone wants to take Breece over James Conner or Zeke Elliott, I really have no problem with it.
Yeah, me neither.
I might take him over Zeke too, just because, I'm living life on the edge this season.
JL, where do you reside on this conundrum we're facing?
Yeah, I think they're ranked similarly, but I agree with what you guys are saying. Breece Hall is definitely the 3rd one out of this group, and then I would probably put James. I'd put them in that order. Zeke in the order that they were drafted: Zeke, James Conner, Hall.
There we go.
Are they kind of in a similar tier for you, though, JL?
They are. Zeke and James Conner are back to back. Yep. Yeah. Both have concerns. I do believe in Ezekiel Elliott's talent more than I believe in James Conner's talent. But both have question marks in their situation. James Conner, I'm a little bit more bullish on his situation. So a little less bullish on his talent, a little more bullish on his situation. And Zeke is the vice versa.
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident in Zeke this year. I know Jace has fade Zeke, but I just feel like he's safe. He's just a good running back who's going to get lots of carries, and I don't think that's going to change. So I like Zeke this year.
The thing with the Cowboys is he'll get a lot of carries, I think, if they're playing from ahead. If their team overall is good, but if Dak's going to be throwing for 400 yards, people expect, usually he's playing from behind, from what I've seen. And I think if you're playing a lot of passing down football, which the Cowboys most likely will be, I see Tony Pollard kind of getting a lot of those snaps, but I understand why you want to fade Zeke because I'm not looking forward to drafting him. If he's on your dynasty squad, you should probably sell high as soon as he scores a touchdown. But,
Yeah.
But, in redraft, this is probably the last year I'd feel comfortable risking on him unless he really shows out.
Yeah.
I've
Because
been
his
hearing
efficiency
about
has
him for
kind
a
of
while
dropped
now.
off a little bit.
Yeah,
His efficiency, his
that
targets.
team, they're now relying on CD as the true number one. There's no Cooper there, no Gallup there. It's even that passing attack might not look the same. Dalton Schultz is the 2 now, so we'll see what happens. But I
Hey,
wouldn't
don't sleep on Cedric Wilson with his 6 touchdowns last year. But for real, someone's got to catch the
Cedric
ball
Wilson
there.
got hurt, didn't
Oh,
he?
is he gone? You're right.
I think he just got hurt like last
You're right.
week.
It was like
Like,
last week. I'm remembering
Yeah.
that as well.
But
Man.
like let's not take away from Michael Gallup and Jalen Tolbert, right? The rookie.
Oh wait, no, he's on the Miami Dolphins as well.
Yeah.
Cedric Wilson.
I think Gallup's out, right? Is Gallup still injured?
Yeah, Gallup. I think they expect him to be ready sometime at the beginning of the season.
Okay.
So
I think Tolbert's good, but he's going to have some rookie woes. So
absolutely.
I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what that's going to look like.
One point I will make is the Cowboys defense. I think is pretty good. I think they're one of. They're not a bottom.
The defense is getting
defense
better. The defense absolutely. Yeah. They definitely invested huge in it like last season. So
exactly.
They're definitely going to be a good team.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So that could keep them up in games and maybe leads them to running the football even more because they were doing that a lot at the beginning of last season. They kind of got away from it. I know a lot of people were worried about Dak Prescott mid-season last year, but they started passing a lot more because they needed to.
Right.
So it was kind of the tale of 2 seasons.
That's true.
That's a cool name for a series or something.
Tale
of 2 Seasons.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I've read
writing
the title
one
of
down.
that book before.
Dips.
Do it. You got it.
Because we got
I meant
Kevin in
our
the chat
dips.
saying bird up. Bird up is the answer to that
Bird.
question.
Is it a
right there.
question? Is it a question?
It's a question, and I'm answering it with a definitive answer. Bird up. Guys, I did want to touch on something in this draft. So we saw Tyreek Hill go at the 2-12. And then, Eric, you drafted Jalen Waddle at the 4-1 at the beginning of the 4th round.
Ooh.
So more than a round after Tyreek Hill. And the more I look into the situation, the more I'm not convinced that Tyreek Hill is worth an over a round advantage in the draft compared to Jalen Waddle. How do you feel about those 2 players? Do you think there's room in this offense for both? And what do you expect for Jalen Waddle this year with Tyreek Hill being added to that offense?
Absolutely. I think there's absolutely room for both, especially because they're playing musical chairs at running back. I definitely think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. And you got guys like Tyreek Hill and, Dylan, who probably the 2 fastest guys in the league. You don't need a lot of advanced patterns. You don't need a lot of complicated things, getting them the ball in space. Run some slants, all the things that in a half PPR league, you want guys that can hit home runs. And I feel like with all the attention going to be on Tyreek, one of my favorite players to draft in fantasy is the wide receiver too, is the second best wide receiver on that team, who's dealing with the corner who's not as good and the coverage that's the whole Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown effect. So I think with Jalen facing a lot of the secondary corners, as talented as he is, I'm loving the pick there.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw another question in here, guys, from Albert. Wanted to know how we would rank these guys. I love, you can tell we're getting closer to the season, right?
Yeah.
Now the questions are like, how do you compare these players? And I love it. I miss this so much. So how would you rank these guys? ETN, Akers, Jacobs, and Gibson. I'm going to go first because I'm selfish and I want to.
These guys are all so close for me.
I've got Jacobs decently ahead of most of these guys. I have Jacobs as an RB1. Then ETN is my next guy at 20, Gibson at 24, and then Akers at 29. So Gibson and ETN are in a similar tier to me. I'll take ETN with the upside. And then Akers is my distant 4th in this one. I just don't trust that he's going to be the bell cow. I didn't like what we saw whenever he came back from the injury at the end of last season. And I liked what I did see from Darrell Henderson. So again, it's similar to CH where I'm not convinced that his production isn't replaceable. He's not a necessity on the field for that team. So that's why Akers lasts for me. Josh, how are you ranking these 4 guys? You're making a face like they're like back to back to back to back.
They're back to back to back to back to back to back. I have these guys as so 19, 20, 21, and 22. My running backs 19, 20, 21, and 22.
That's back to back to back to back. You're right.
That's back to back to back to back. Josh Jacobs is my number 1 at 19, Antonio Gibson at 20, Cam Akers at 21, and Travis Etienne at 22. And I hate that Travis Etienne's last in that list because I know how high a lot of people are on Etienne this year. It just comes down to situation. I think all the other guys have a slightly better situation than him. Now, Antonio Gibson, you could make the argument, but Antonio Gibson just was the last 2 seasons. I don't know. Where did he finish? I think he was close to a running back 1 both of his first 2 seasons.
And he can't get more touches. Yeah. Like, know what I mean? Like, if he's going to get better than that, it has to come off the back of efficiency, like his efficiency going up, because he was a 300 touch back last year. Like, you're not going to get more. That's a big load of touches that he got last year.
Big load of touches.
But what he can get, I'm not saying he's definitely going to get it, but what he can get is a little bit more pass catching work, maybe. I think what we're worried about is some touchdown regression. 11 touchdowns his rookie year, 11 rushing touchdowns, and 7 rushing touchdowns last year, 3 reception touchdowns. So that's what I would be most concerned about. He had a lot of fumbles around the goal line, and they drafted Brian Robinson in the 3rd round. Yep. So maybe that ends up happening, right?
Yeah. I mean, even if Brian Robinson takes 25% of the touches, know what I mean? Not even a big punch. It's a 25-75 split. That's not great for Gibson. His money is made on volume, it seems like. So I'm not
did you look at my rankings?
Like, he's an RB2 for me, but not much higher. Eric, how do you feel about these 4 guys?
I'm sorry. I was in my draft room war mode.
But some good, cool picks
when
there.
I like your team so far. That is hot, those wide receivers.
Yeah, I had to make up for that Nick Chubb pick. But I love things. I think I'm a lot higher on Akers than most. I drafted him, I think, as my running back 3, I think, in the Scott Fish Bowl. I think he's going to be really good. Obviously, he didn't show out the best when he came back, but the fact that he came back that early was a testament to who this guy is. I think after a full off season, as good as Henderson is, he's made it clear that he can't, play a full season as the RB1. He's strictly a support role. I think we see some good football out of Akers, but in terms of order, I still think, just 1 through 4, it's Jacobs first, only because it's in redraft, half PPR. The Raiders offense should be pretty good, which means a lot of red zone appearances, which means a lot of, 3-4 yard runs for touchdowns for Josh Jacobs. We've seen that a lot of times. Behind him, I'm still going Gibson, even though I'm hearing a lot of talks about other people back there. But him and Akers are right behind Jacobs for me, and then Etienne obviously 4th. I think he obviously would be probably the better dynasty pick. If this was full PPR, it'd be more interesting. If you really liked your team and you wanted to make a fancy, flashy pick, I wouldn't be mad at you there. But I think that's pretty much the order.
Fantasy flashy pick. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to start using that whenever I'm just taking a pick that is maybe even against my rankings. This is my fantasy flashy pick. I like that. Jay in here said ETN RB1 season and said an RB1, not the RB1.
Jay, I know Jay, you real fast. Jay, he's a Giants fan, so I know he's seen the Philadelphia Eagles play football, and they had a coach the last few years, Doug Peterson, I believe his name is. He's now the coach for the Jaguars. And man, those running backs, they were tough to work with last year. Throughout Doug Peterson's tenure with the Eagles, the running back situation was always a question mark. It was always a bunch of people getting involved. That would be part of my concern for Travis Etienne as well.
And my biggest concern for Etienne is the one and only James Robinson. You know what time it is. Still undervalued.
You're talking Simon's language.
Riding that train until the wheels fall
I'm
off.
high on Etienne, but where James Robinson's getting drafted, I'll draft him because he's been a freaking RB1. He's a good running back who got hurt. So I'll take him that late. I'll draft both of those guys.
They don't hear you, man.
No. Yale, our teams are still very, very, very similar, by the way.
3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a tight end. Eric, I'm going to ask you as a neutral third party. So far, Josh's team and JL's team have the same exact construction. 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a tight end. Which of these teams would you prefer to have right now? Josh's team with Derrick Henry and James Conner at running back, CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson, and Godwin at receiver, Dalton Schultz.
I do not. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of James Conner right now. He's going to be good.
Yeah.
I do not want Deontay Johnson on my team.
That's fair.
That's fair. For any reason right now.
I've rised on him a little bit myself, but
Me too.
I get it.
Godwin is cool, but now they've got more competition there, and it's he's coming off an injury. I think I got to go JL here, strictly because, I love Bateman, Swift, Diggs, Brees, with the upside. To me, I'm more confident in his team, at least right now, at least for initial rounds.
Then I'm gonna make it a tie here. I'm going to prefer Josh's team. I like your running back pair better. I like Derrick Henry better than Swift. And then I like Connor better than Brees. Brees has that upside. And then at wide receiver, I feel safer with your three. While JL has my favorite wide receiver of the three and Stephon Diggs, I feel a bit nervous about Cortland Sutton. And like Rashad Bateman's success this year, I think comes down to, is this Ravens passing offense are they going to increase in pass volume this year, kind of like we're expecting? Are they going to stay a heavier pass team like we saw last year? Or are they going to go back
not
to
increase because they were
right? Sorry, I mean increase compared to like their baseline.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay at that level.
Yeah. And that's definitely a big question.
I mean, who else are they throwing to? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was
if Mark Andrews is getting drafted in the second round and he's the tight end, I think there's enough meat on the bone for their wide receiver one.
Yeah, there's not many options. So
I think both can be true, guys, and that's what I project
agree.
currently. You know, I think the Ravens are going to go back to being a run-heavy team, and I think Bateman's going to be a top 25. I think I have him at 25 in my projections and rankings. He's right around there. So
that's my exact thought process. My exact point on this is like, even if it's a low passing offense, Bateman showed that he can make things happen in this offense, and so I'm not too worried about it. He's really the only guy there apart from Andrews that. So I expect him to get points, and I expect that Ravens offense to be able to move, which is what you want out of your fantasy assets.
Their offense going to be better this season.
To be fair, the only Raven that I would really want to touch in any of those rounds was J.K. Dobbins in the fourth.
J.K. Speaking of J.K. Dobbins, we did have a question from Dustin that said, who you were more excited about returning from the pup, Godwin or Dobbins?
Dobbins. Easily.
And we got two Ravens fans. And then we got all Ravens fans.
No, I'm an Eagles fan. This is just my draft from. But I've always been huge on Dobbins. You know, he was taken out early didn't get to play last year, which killed my Scott Fishbowl team, and among other rosters where I have him heavily, shared. So I'm looking forward to him coming out and showing everybody how good he is.
Also, Mr. Scamper said, this is the most balanced mock draft I've ever done, and I don't feel right. I'm with you, Mr. Scampers. Whenever I draft a balanced team, it's like, all of my positions are good, but I'm not thrilled about all of them. Like, I like it better when I'm like, this wide receiver core is the best. It's so sexy. And it's like, and I'll figure running back out. I just feel more comfortable drafting like that.
I've been doing so many super flex drafts that I feel like coming back to 1 QB leagues, I'm always just like draft is always so different. I'm like usually pretty happy with my team because I only really have to target the main, 3 main positions.
And then you just grab your quarterback at the end.
There's much less variance with 1 QB that I found.
It shocks me every time in 1 QB this year that I grab one of these guys early, unless there's a value like Lamar Jackson in the 7th. I love that pick. I think in the 7th round for Lamar Jackson, a full 3 rounds after Josh Allen went, totally cool with that.
Pick.
But
that was the only person I would have took over Drake.
There you go. If I'm drafting a Josh Allen in the 4th round, I find every single time it gets to that 12th round, I'm staring at an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, and I'm like, why the hell did I draft Josh Allen in the 4th round? I feel like I have that thought every time I do that in a 1 QB league. Josh, are you upset?
Not upset.
Disappointed.
I'm not disappointed. I'm not upset. I'm just like, should I do this right now? I'm like,
that Treylon Burks pick was a good pick.
While you're thinking of that, I put a poll in the chat from our earlier question: who's going to finish the highest in 2022? Half PPR: Zeke, James Conner, or Breece Hall. 58% of the chat believes Ezekiel Elliott will finish the highest in half PPR. James Conner got 25% of the vote. Breece Hall got 16% of the vote. So you have it.
Okay.
That's pretty overwhelming on the Zeke side. I thought it would have been a little bit more split between Zeke and James Conner. And then
James Conner and Breece Hall are more lumped together, and I would have lumped Zeke and James Conner closer together.
I would have lumped them differently if I had
lumped them differently.
If I had to lump those guys, I wouldn't have lumped them like that.
Yeah.
We have a question from Calvin in here. He said 1 keeper league, 10-team standard.
That's
CMC,
easy.
Kelsey, JJ Gibson, no cost, just a straight keeper league. Josh, you said it's easy. Who are you keeping?
It's JJ. I know it's a keeper. It's not a dynasty. I'm not too worried about that. But Justin Jefferson is a first-round pick in pretty much every league you're going to see. So is CMC. Kelsey might be. Gibson is not even in consideration.
No.
JJ, you can have him for years to come as your keeper, and I think he's a dominant wide receiver. I would definitely go JJ.
Yep, I'm fine with CMC or JJ. I don't really care either way. Whichever one you prefer. If you want to keep a running back, I'm fine keeping CMC, especially in a 1 keeper league. It's not youth doesn't matter as much to me because every year there's going to be new players that you're drafting. There's only 12 players that are going to be unavailable any given year. So, and like we're seeing here, it's not even necessarily the top 12 players that will be unavailable. because this guy arguably has 2, if not 3 of the top 12 players, right? In CMC, Kelsey, and Justin Jefferson, all have been first-round picks. So I'm fine with JJ or CMC. JL, what are you doing here?
It's a pretty definitive CMC for me. I don't think any of the players in this list have the upside or the ability to really have that insanely league-winning type of performance that you get out of the season that CMC would give you. JJ absolutely has the ability to, but we haven't seen it, like where he's an absolute league winner, and he's a wide receiver, and it's a standard league, right? And so I kind of want to go like I'd rather go the running back who in my mind is going to have more opportunities to get in the end zone than Justin Jefferson.
I would push a little bit. I think Justin Jefferson's upside positionally is comparable to Christian McCaffrey, and I don't think there's many wide receivers.
Let's not leave Kelsey out of that conversation.
Yeah,
either,
100%.
He definitely has that kind of positional advantage, right?
Yeah, but
Kelsey could finish with 40 points more than the next closest tight end. We've seen it. No, like he could,
but he'll be way below CMC and Justin Jefferson.
You need to take Burrow just now? I think you timed out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we were mid talk.
You want me to?
Yeah, can you reset it? I don't want Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. I'll choose for you
now because I did you the honorable thing.
Joe, make sure you turn off auto draft before I resume it. Otherwise, it'll just auto draft for you again.
Thank you. We're good.
There we go. And you got 45 seconds.
You guys got me all heated. You got me in my bag.
Got you in your bag.
Also, Jay saying Josh made a great point about long-term viability versus CMC, and I agree, but it's less important to me in a one keeper league than in a full dynasty.
Yeah, it's just a keeper league.
And I led into it saying that it's not a dynasty league. In a dynasty, it's an easy JJ, right? But I still go JJ for sure.
Jordan said, in my keeper league, I already feel defeated. Someone is getting JJ in the 11th and Chase in the 5th. I have Javonte in the 8th and Akers in the 13th, and it doesn't matter. Yeah.
No, that's solid, though. That's
good, but it's not JJ in the 11th or Chase in the 5th.
Yeah, but you could still build a team that could beat that team, though.
That's
but
hot.
you are starting at a disadvantage. That's just how it is. And that's how keeper leagues work sometimes. That's the goal, right? To start an advantage.
I don't know, this made me laugh, Cal. I said, yeah, I'm fighting myself between JJ and CMC.
JJ! Oh, CMC! I did that behind the comments to sell it more.
Yeah, just to sell it more. Just Scottfish said, does it push you over the edge?
A little bit.
JJ had 35 yards past.
That's the reason I'm saying JJ.
It pushes me right over the edge.
Right over, yeah.
I am over the edge.
I tried to stay up there, but I fell.
And Calvin said, I do have the 104, so maybe CMC is still there.
Neither CMC or JJ are going to be there at the 104 with, keepers already being kept. They're typically top 4 picks without the limitation. Jonathan Taylor's going to be kept, right? I'm pretty confident Cooper Kupp's also going to be kept. So it's just 104. Maybe if people are terrified of him, maybe.
Let's think about this a different way. Let's assume everyone has fairly good keepers. Those first couple teams picking. Would you rather give them CMC or Justin Jefferson in those first 4 picks? Who would you rather your teammate have? Do you feel at more of a disadvantage if a team has a high value keeper and CMC or a high value keeper and Justin Jefferson in that first round? I think I'd rather give them Justin Jefferson when I think about it that way. You know what I mean? I'd be more nervous throwing CMC onto their team, but it's so close between those guys.
I'm not going to label CMC as injury prone by any means, but he's had injuries the last couple of years. And if one person's more likely to get an injury next season, it's probably CMC over Justin Jefferson, who's been pretty healthy throughout his entire career. So just these little things are what are just pointing the arrow towards Justin Jefferson as the keeper for me. All these
Josh's arrow is pointing at Justin Jefferson.
And you always have to factor in. I know CMC isn't old, but he isn't Justin Jefferson. There's a lot more miles on his legs.
He's no spring chicken, as they might say. What does that even mean? What the hell is a spring chicken? Are chickens born in spring? Do chickens hatch in the spring?
Exponentially more delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it has something to do with deliciousness of the chicken. Yes.
It's like a spring roll, but it's a spring chicken. That makes sense. Mr. Scamper says that's an extra point and a bit of a point. Josh, you didn't just have an extra point. You got a bit of a point in there as well.
And my arrow also had a point on it, so I'm just pointing. I'm all about it.
Calvin has the correct answer to my question. It's neither. He would rather give neither of them to his opponent. He said, we're voting on 1 or 2 keepers. So, of course, I voted
Man,
2.
if you could get 2.
Oh, yeah. CMC, JJ.
So then definitely keep JJ and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Wait, who's the third one that we don't even talk about?
Gibson, Antonio Gibson.
Oh, yeah. Take Gibson.
Get him out of here.
Keep Gibson.
And if you've got Nyheim Hines, maybe keep him as well, just for the value. I'm sure it would be so late.
Yeah, definitely get Gibson out of there. Go CMC or JJ, whatever you want. Either one. I think they're close enough. It's not really matter. We're kind of splitting hairs here.
Yeah. Gross. Gross. Erik, you went tight end quarterback. You've kind of been waiting on both, but you grabbed each of them in that round. TJ Hawkinson, who I feel like people are a little bit down on this year. And then Jalen Hurts, who I'm not sure I've ever seen people higher on him in his career. I see him as high as QB3 sometimes and fairly consensus top 10 guy. How do you feel about those picks on this team?
Well, again, half PPR, tight ends, TJ Hawkinson's the clear guy on a team that's still kind of figuring out the receiving options. I definitely think he'll at least be a high touchdown target, high red zone guy. We're working on a contract extension, so he's big plans. Former first round pick, I think he was like a top 10 pick. He's been on my dynasty squad for a few years, really consistent. I'm all for that on a team that's gaining confidence every year. And again, half PPR, we got Jalen Hurts, Konami code, rushing the football. That's what I wanted there. High floor, you can't ask for more than that this late.
Yeah, absolutely. JL, then you went Christian Kirk and Kenneth Walker. Does the did you see the reports out of camp today? Christian Kirk, there was a scare where he went down on the field, but it appears it was just a twisted ankle and he was walking up and down the sideline, so he's going to be okay.
Scott Fish, Christian Kirk?
There was a scare. Yeah, Scott Fish is Christian Kirk confirmed. The $21 million man, Scott Fish, Christian Kirk. Calvin in here saying, I do have Elijah Mitchell, Damian Harris, and Dak to choose from as well. Honestly, I'd take Elijah Mitchell over Gibson, like if that was your option there. But
Elijah Mitchell over Antonio Gibson?
Yep. I've got him a couple spots ahead, 21 versus 24.
How the mighty have fallen. Jeez.
Remember Trey Sermon? That was a thing.
Who?
I don't know.
He was more popular for that face he made after that college championship game. I'm like, there's no way he's an RB1 after that.
I'm not remembering the face. I'm having to look it up. I typed in Trey Sermon, and one of the immediate autofills was Trey Sermon funny face. Was what Google came up with as
funny
an
face.
option. That is cute. That's a cute face right there. Trey Sermon smirking at the camera. That's a JL smirk. You and Trey Sermon are making the same smirk.
That's why I drafted him.
Is it? Oh, Josh, it says time's up.
Yeah, I just think it needs to update.
I think you're still thinking over there.
Let's try.
I made Sleeper pause for me. I was like, hey, hold on.
Okay.
I really want to think about this one.
Okay, Josh, it's saying 42 seconds now for your pick.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what?
I think it's updated now on the.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been.
The draft, what I'm looking at was still counting down from your pick, Josh. So I was a little bit confused right there. Maybe I should just look at the one on the screen.
The page broke.
Josh, drafting Alan Lazard broke the page. So was it worth it?
It was worth it. I like taking Alan Lazard here because when I look at the wide receiver, I was considering Robert Woods, but he got drafted 2 picks in front of me. Alan Lazard, out of like the wide receivers available, is just like someone I feel comfortable is going to have at least some production over the course of the year. I think he's safe and has some upside, as the Aaron Rodgers top target possibly. And then I have Chris Godwin on my team, who I don't know is going to be ready for week 1. So I need someone that I can just feel comfortable plugging and playing week 1. Week 2, maybe week 3. Let's see when Chris Godwin gets back. I think he's going to play week 1 at this point, Chris Godwin. So I'm getting higher and higher on Chris Godwin. If he's playing week 1, I think I got a pretty good receiver right there.
Yeah, and I do like what you said. Alan Lazard is a player you can just plug in if he's not ready for week 1. That you'd be perfectly fine starting going into that week 1. Is he the guy that you expect to be the highest targeted player on that Packers offense?
At this point, yes, I do. The most targets Alan Lazard's ever received previously was last year. He only had 60 targets, but Devontae Adams was there. I mean, this team isn't going to have the most passing attempts in the league. There's going to be a lot of teams that surpass them in passing attempts. And I think Aaron Jones is going to get a lot of targets as well. But if I had to make a bet right now, who has the most targets for the Packers, it'd be on Alan Lazard. Lazard.
I think I'm with you. Maybe with slightly more confidence than I don't know. Are you more confident that out of the, let's take Travis Kelce out of the equation on the Chiefs. If you had to pick, you can pick either the Chiefs wide receiver that will have the most targets or the Packers wide receiver that will have the most targets. And if you get it right, you get $1 million. Which way are you going? Are you picking a Chiefs wide receiver or are you picking
the Chiefs wide receiver that has the most targets? I'll go with Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay.
Yes,
That's where I am as well. It's Juju for me as well, but I had to think about that one. It was close.
Even though I don't feel 1,000% confident about either,
Yeah, Eric, you
talking
drafted
about Chiefs wide receivers. I'll take another one. I think this is where Marquez Valdes-Scantling kind of deserves to go. He could be the guy, right? He could be. I know he could.
My thing is he's been in the league long enough. We would know if he was cut from that cloth or not, and we haven't seen it yet.
So much like Allen Lazard, who hasn't really produced because he's been in the shadow of Devontae Adams. That's kind of what I'm thinking about Marquez Valdes-Scantling. He gets this new opportunity with the team that is going to pass more. And he has an opportunity, right? He just has an opportunity. I'm not projecting it. I'd much rather have Juju because he's a slot receiver. Juju's more of a slot receiver. Tyreek Hill, a lot of his production came out of the slot last season. So the targets are just easier to get to him. They're probably going to be a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Marquez Valdes-Scantling going to have higher yards per catch than Juju Smith-Schuster. I bet $1 million on that.
Given he can catch the ball.
Yeah, well, even if he only catches one and it's a 20-yard pass, that's a lot of yards per catch,
That's good. That's good. I feel like he's one of those players where you're not going to know when to start him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Marquez MVS is going to have a lot of big games on your bench.
He'll have like 3 games, maybe close to 30 points, I bet.
You're never gonna know when to hit him.
Yeah, but you don't know when.
Best ball.
Yeah.
Best ball. Elite best ball target. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably is a much better best ball target.
But I like Allen Lazard, though. I think Allen Lazard has shown he can play. He's been injured a lot, but when he's been on the field, he looked the part to me, at least.
At least right in the end zone, right? He scored 8 touchdowns last season.
Josh, that's exactly what I was going to. My worry is that, and it's not even a worry with where he's being drafted, is that he's just what we saw last year, which is good. It's 8 touchdowns. He's a touchdown threat, but he's not a high yardage guy. He's not a high target guy. I am fearful that that's the outcome for this year, that it's just what we saw. But even if that is the case, at this point in the draft, you're drafting him with that as his floor, right? And that feels like a fairly safe outcome. So I'm fine with that pick. I like Lazard at that point.
The only Packers receiver I'm drafting at his ADP is Romeo Doubs. That's it.
People are loving him right now. Are you in, Eric?
That is getting selected at his ADP, the only one.
So and his ADP is undrafted in this.
Exactly.
I get it.
I think he's good. I think he's going to be. I think he has just as much potential to share targets with everyone else as Christian Watson, Lazard. Aaron doesn't pick favorites. He wants to know who catches the ball, and then you're the favorite. So I think he has a perfect opportunity to be that guy, especially with the injuries and. I think it's going to be interesting. He's going to be one of those waiver wire guys that people have been talking about, but now it's going to really hit the mainstream after he catches a few touchdowns. They'll let him score for week 1, 80% of FAB out the window.
No, I'm saving my week 1 fab for Sammy Watkins. After he
there you go.
That's where my fab's going. If I don't grab him with my last pick.
Listen, DFS week 1, Sammy Watkins, plug him in all your lineups.
I'd be curious what the the roster ship percentage would be for Sammy Watkins week 1. Probably higher than any other week last season.
Great pick, JL.
Thank you.
I should have picked him with my last pick, but we'll see if.
Damn, I should have took who I want.
JL, how do you feel about that backfield with the Patriots? Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris. Are you expecting Stevenson to take over as the main ball carrier there?
No, not at all. I think they'll split. I think they'll split just like we saw last year. I think they'll split. Yeah, I think that's how they're going to do it. Yeah, Bill Belichick, he doesn't love to use running backs the same way. Damian Harris had that 15 touchdown season last season. I don't think they're going to just stop using him. But Ramondre Stevenson looked fantastic when he was on the field.
Yeah, I should have picked one of those two guys. So.
I do think his usage we'll see an increase, and I can't say that for some reason. I think we'll see an increase in his usage. There you go. I was smushing the two words together. But I don't think it'll be that much. I don't think he'll take over or eclipse Damian Harris.
When we start getting spicy now.
I wanted one of the 3 running backs that were just drafted, James Cook, Ramondre Stevenson, or Damian Pierce with the next pick, and I thought one would fall to me, and I was very, very wrong. I wish I would have taken one of those 3 guys over Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Who would you have taken of those 3?
That's kind of why I went Marcus Valdes-Scantling, because I was kind of like looking at the wide receivers. I was like, Marcus Valdes-Scantling feels like a good, like, big play kind of threat that could, add a lot of value to my team. And then there's these 3 running backs that maybe one of these falls. So maybe I'll go MVS here. I probably would have taken Dameon Pierce.
There's reports
upside coming out. There's reports coming out that he's looking like by far the best running back on the Texans. I know this is hype. This is offseason hype, blah, blah, blah. But I still love seeing the reports. And the Texans need someone to run the ball. I mean,
someone's got to
just look at the other names. Marlon Mack, sure, whatever.
Damn, I messed up here. I actually just messed up my pick.
Oh,
why is that? Is there anything you want us to change?
Oh, no. I'm thinking out loud. No, we can't go back. I made my decision. I hit the button already. I'm just having buyers. You
don't like Jahan Dotson pick?
No, I love Jahan Dotson. I think he's gonna, coming from the side, and I love Terry McLaurin his rookie year. I think Jahan's gonna be outstanding. I think he's gonna have a great year. But there was
one of my favorite wide receivers that I kind of like looked in going into the draft. I didn't think I would like him very much, and I ended up really liking him.
And then Terry McLaurin just showed him his praise. Terry was like, "Nah, he's really like that." So, and I believe Terry more than everybody.
Yeah, Josh. To your point about the Houston running backs, like you said, someone has to carry the ball, and I just wanted to highlight this. I don't think people realize
Talk
it.
About last
Rex Burkhead had 122 carries for the Texans last season. 122. That's not nothing. That's a pretty big chunk.
And it wasn't the entire season. He wasn't even really getting a lot of playing time the entire season. It came in chunks.
So there is a serious gap at the running back position on that team. And I'm with you. If he's getting good reports out of camp, it's one of the players where I'm actually maybe taking a little bit into that because there's not much he has to do to steal that job. There's very little.
Now, having said that, the Texans running back position was not good for fantasy last year either. There's a lot of available carries. We don't know if that's going to lead to a lot of fantasy production, but I'm willing to take my shot on it in the 10th round, essentially end of the 9th round where you did right there. In the 9th round, I guess, is where I'm willing to take my shot on Dameon Pierce.
A potential starting running back for an NFL team in the 10th round. That's that makes sense to draft that guy there.
And he's got the rookie hype off season, upside kind of thing going for him.
Yes, sir, Steve.
Yeah.
JL drafted another rookie wide receiver, Jameson Williams. JL, are you worried about him coming back from injury at all?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But that's why he's good. Great analysis. On to the next question. No, but the upside's enough for you to take a player like that here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the draft, and just the way I've been building this team is just I'm really trying the strategy of just going guys I really think have high upside who could really pop off and give me an edge in this league. And I feel like Jameson Williams absolutely fits that mold. If he's able to come back in the first part of the season, I think he could be very sneaky value.
Sneaky.
So Josh, are you Ronald Jones? I'm guessing is like a tier below those. Like you would have preferred any of those 3 guys you mentioned over Ronald Jones.
100%.
Jones.
So my
Ronald Jones.
I'm sorry, football coach.
JR said,
football coach up there.
I know who. JR said, I know who Josh is taking. I was wrong.
That's wrong.
Well, I was looking at my team here, and I know I needed a running back. So there's a few options. I was thinking of Ronald Jones. When it comes down to it, he's on the Chiefs, who are an awesome offense. They're an awesome. No one's going to argue with me there, right? They're an awesome offense. I prefer Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I actually think he's going to have a bounce back season, but outside of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if he doesn't have this good season I kind of project him for, Ronald Jones has been a good running back. Just running back, not pass catcher. Not a very good pass catcher at all, so his upside is going to be a little bit limited regardless. But if he's the main running back for this team, getting over 200 carries, if that's the case, I'm not projecting that, but if that's the case, he's going to be good for fantasy football. He's going to have a lot of top tier opportunities, so the upside for Ronald Jones is there.
Can I just make this claim now that we're live and on wax? I might not pronounce his name right. Was it Isaiah Pacheco?
Pacheco.
RB1. This year's James Robinson. Write it in stone.
All right.
That's your hot take for the year?
Write it in stone.
Write it in stone.
He's gonna come out of that backfield hands down the best player.
There have been reports about him coming out of training camp as well. We're talking about Dameon Pierce height, but
he's looked good. Blocker, pass catcher, kick returner,
tackles. He's got it all, and that's what's gonna keep him on the field. And he's gonna trust me. I think he's gonna be great.
See Tyler Algier.
And he
down
went to
there.
Rutgers, I think. Shout out to Rutgers in the building, too.
Shout out to Rutgers.
What was that Rutgers quarterback that was like, he was either the greatest college quarterback of all time or the worst, and it was just, it varied from game to game. Gary Nova. Do you remember Gary Nova, the quarterback for Rutgers? That dude, if you go back and watch his tape, he made throws where you were like number 1 NFL draft pick. And then he also made throws where you were just like in awe that he had ever held a football before in his life at that point.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of my favorite college players to watch.
Awesome. James Robinson, great pick. I was going to take James over Jahan Dotson. That would have probably been the thing, just to lock up, my RBs in case anyone got hurt.
I'm liking this team mostly, JR. The one pick I don't love is Javonte Williams up there in the second round, but the rest of this team, I'm a pretty big fan of. I like how you've put it together.
I don't like Devin Singletary that much.
But where you got him in the 7th round, I'm totally cool with it, right? Like
I'm taking Treylon Burks. I'm definitely taking Treylon over Singletary there. But
Also, JR, and you're saying, I hate when I get a wow. Yeah, sometimes Sleeper just screams wow in your ears.
Wow.
The one I hate is when the draft ends and it goes, whoa, just like as loud as it can in your ears. Scares me every time if I'm not paying attention. Oh, excuse me right there. Kenneth Gainwell, Josh. I feel like he's been getting some hype recently as well as maybe a second-year breakout kind of guy and driving Miles Sanders' value down. How do you feel about Gainwell?
Yeah, again, just taking shots at this running back position, hoping I kind of, find lightning a little bit, capture lightning in a bottle, right? Kenneth Gainwell, 11th round pick. He was a rookie last year. He was getting a lot of hype, and he was on the field quite a bit. There was a rotating cast of running backs. Boston Scott was involved. Kenneth Gainwell was involved. Miles Sanders. I do think Miles Sanders is going to be the lead running back, but we're already hearing reports that Kenneth Gainwell is looking really good, and he has just as much of a chance to win the starting role as Miles Sanders. So I don't know. I'll take that in the other.
I've been a little bit lower on him, but JJ Zacharyson, I think he posted it today. It was either today or yesterday. Posted a little sneak peek for you guys about his Kenneth Gainwell projections and for his second-year model. And he mentioned that, I didn't realize this, Kenneth Gainwell had a 10.8% target share in the Eagles offense last season.
Oh,
like
wow.
that's not nothing. Like an 11% target share basically for a running back is a fairly decent chunk, especially like a backup running back in that offense. So I know that's pushing Kenneth Gainwell up his second-year model, that reception work specifically. And that was something I didn't realize. I didn't know he got so much. Ooh, JL, I love that pick. Christian Watson late.
Christian Watson.
The 11th round. Josh loves Christian Watson.
Yeah. I love his upside. I like that he's really big, he's really fast, and he plays with Aaron Rodgers. You check all three of those boxes. I don't know if I expect a lot of production from him this upcoming season, but in the 11th round, taking a shot on a wide receiver that could be the number 1 target for Aaron Rodgers, why not?
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Josh.
Did you draft him because you love his upside or because you love his backside?
Why not both?
Yeah. In the 11th round, though, it's hard to get both upside and backside.
It is hard to get both, but every year you get lucky.
Right. Last running back.
Ryan
Robinson.
Not mad at that. Only because given Antonio Gibson's foot issues, if he misses, any games, I think it's going to be the Brian Robinson show, and we should be in for a good time.
Jordan in here talking about his team. He said the year's 2019. You are starting D-Hop, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, and Devontae Adams. That's my kind of team. I love the old guys. There's Value City once they hit 28.
You left out Darren Waller. I think that's the year he broke out, right? So it's like, oh, hey, let's go.
It all checks out. FF Chalupa about me saying Dak in the 11th doesn't seem value. I know, and Tom Brady down there as well. That's what I'm saying. Every time these one quarterback drafts happen and I go early, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, I could have drafted.
I feel like I got a value
there
with Kyler Murray in the 7th, but again, there's Tom Brady in the 11th as well. I'd rather have Tom Brady over Dak.
There's still quarterbacks left. I could have waited.
Yeah. You can always it seems like
we
good
did
value.
set ourselves apart a little bit. Like Jalen Hurts, even Kyler Murray. I'd rather have those guys. But is it worth that much value?
But would you rather have them over who you didn't get in the 7th?
And I guess I'm looking at someone like Hunter Renfrow or DeAndre Hopkins right there in the 7th instead of Kyler Murray. So would I rather have Kyler Murray and Kenneth Gainwell or Hunter Renfrow and Dak Prescott? Maybe Hunter Renfrow and Dak Prescott, maybe.
It's close.
Maybe.
It's close, but it's a fun thing to think about.
Russell Wilson's a top 10 guy for me this year. So I'm happy getting a top 10 guy here in the 12th.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
He's the top 10 guy for me as well.
Scamper says it's waiver wire QB tight end for me. And you know what? With shallow benches like this league has, if you're in a shallow bench league, that's fine to leave your draft without either.
I always feel better about my team when I do that. So
yeah.
Look, Derek Carr just went. There's going to be plenty of quarterbacks available on this waiver wire. Let's look at just some of the names that are still
Trey
sitting
Lance is still around,
Trey
right?
Lance is there, yep.
Matthew freaking Stafford. I know there's questions about his elbow, but Matthew Stafford's there. Kirk Cousins, Tua, Trevor. It goes. There's 6, 7, 8 names on there that you could pick up and start right away. Jordan said normally I would pick Trey Lance, but having Waller and Adams, I have to pick Carr. He loves a stack. He's a stack.
Can't avoid a stack.
And then Jay down here, Russell Wilson. JL grabbed Russell Wilson in the 12th round, and Jay says Russ is going to be top 5.
Could be.
If that's the case, then that's a great pick for your team, JL. Do you think Russell Wilson?
It's just like who you're kicking out. I don't want to kick out anyone in the top 5 currently.
That's true.
Where do you have Russell Wilson projected? Do you have him top 5 like Jay, or do you have him a little bit lower?
I have him top 10. I think maybe 8.
He's number 9 for me.
Yeah, I think I have him 8. Yeah, I think it'll be great. And I got Cortland Sutton early and going 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds, getting Cortland Sutton as my wide receiver 2. I love being able to stack that with Wilson.
Yeah. Yep. And Wilson's my 8 as well, JL. I'm right there with you. That range is so hard. Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson. I have them like just right there. Tom Brady just ever so slightly ahead of them because I feel safer with Tom Brady. It's just
he's definitely the safest, one of the safest.
Tom Brady's Tom Brady. I know eventually he'll hit that cliff, and he's in the same offense, throwing to a lot of the same weapons. I'm just feel better about drafting Tom Brady probably.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker, the New England Patriots newest wide receiver, is the last pick of this draft. Mr. Irrelevant. Guys, that was a fun draft. There's some fun team builds in here.
Very competitive too.
Some balanced teams in Eric, that wide receiver run you went on, Metcalf, Waddle, Smith, London, I'm still drooling over that. Starting 2 running backs and then getting those 4 wide receivers, I really love that start for you right there.
I've been talking too much trash about 0 RB, not to hammer 2 RBs to set it off.
And I love a good 0 RB team, but I really like the team that you constructed here. Guys, that is going to be it for us this afternoon. A big thanks to Erik for joining us today. Erik, it is always a pleasure streaming with you, my man. We love it when you're on.
We love you, Erik.
Thank you again.
Everybody watching, if you are not already following Erik, go and follow him right now on Twitter at YourFFCoach. Right there below his wildly handsome face. So make sure you guys go over there and follow him. And then, if you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to our channel right here at Front Yard Fantasy. There should be a big red button right below the little box that our faces are in. So we're trapped in here, but there's a red button right below that you can push. And if enough people push it, it will release us from our boxes.
But just one of us, and we just go through the floor.
Oh,
we don't know which one.
Release us out of their screen into their living room. I hope you're not watching on a cell phone, because that is going to hurt on the way out, or your cell phone's going to break. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time, like usual. Until then, we're out of here, though. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for drafting with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We love you.
Adios, everyone.
Dreaming fantasy fun!
Yeah!